Shit. gotta find another audiobook. What? What? You mad that I left you without saying bye there?
North 4 November Alpha 040.
November Alpha 040, what?
You can work at someone gate for a few minutes.
10-4.
Got pissed off that I left without saying bye? Or you're happy I came back? When do you ever sleep? Do you wait for me to go to bed and then you go to bed? Is that how it goes? You like to sleep when I'm sleeping? Are you spooning me at least? Like, that's bullshit. It's supposed to snow today. You know, like, it's cold out there. It was snowing. It was like snowing on the garbage can this morning. It's not even Halloween yet. Usually it only does this at Halloween. You know, ruins it for the kids. Trick or treat. I gotta find another book or something. I don't know. I'm usually into reading the books in a book, but I find it's not the same, you know, as listening, because I find when you're listening to an audiobook, it's somebody else's voice, so you're imagining them thinking of it, kind of thing, you know, where when I'm reading the book, it's my inner voice reading it, you know, so it's more about me, like, connecting to it, rather than me connecting to him, connecting to the book, you know, I don't know how to explain it. Anyways, but it's not bad, you know, if you want to get through it quick. Like, we did a 7-hour book there in 2.5 days. We did not bad. That's, you know, that was beyond my attention span. We made it through it. Right? I keep saying I'm going to watch a movie this week. I'm going to watch a movie this week. You know, I haven't done this in months. Well, it's been a while since I watched a freaking movie. I make up for it on YouTube, I think. I've never watched this much TV, or how do you call it? Fictional stuff, right? I don't know what this is about, but let's go check it real quick. Just see the intro.
We're back. We are back. Boom.
Mystics of the past had a long-standing tradition of looking backwards at languages. Ancient, dead languages are ideal for sacred purposes, as they never change. But perhaps more importantly, their age and antiquity lend them an equal degree of sanctity, as the thought is that all languages in the world must trace their roots back to some primordial archetype. Theoretically, if you went far enough back, you would eventually come across the very first language in its most untouched form. Pure, just as God or the gods delivered it. This language, for the purposes of our investigation, will be referred to either as celestial speech, angelical, or Enochian. They are all different terms for the same concept: the language of God and angels. The lore of Enochian largely derives from the book of Genesis, the book of Revelation, and the apocryphal Book of Enoch. However, many key details between them were delivered during the alleged prophetic visions of two particular Englishmen in the 16th century, but we'll get to them in a bit. In the beginning, God's...
Lima 401, everything's set for. We're just speaking with Mrs. Burns.
spoke the universe into existence using a series of divine words, the letters of which burned onto 49 celestial tablets. But contained within these tablets was not only the language of creation, but all knowledge, past, present, and future, and the very keys to unlock and enter the gates of heaven. These same tablets appear in different forms in different religions throughout time. The Egyptians called it the Book of Thoth. Hebrew legends speak of the Sefer Raziel. But in Enochian, the language of heaven and angels, they are known as Loge, or speech from God. In the Garden of Eden, Adam spoke the language found within Loge, holding familiar conversations with the Creator and giving every plant, creature, and object its true name. But his fluency was stricken when he and Eve were expelled from paradise. No longer could Adam speak with God or with the angels. In order to communicate with his family, Adam created the first human language, based on his fractured and flawed memories of the celestial speech. This would have been an ancient form of Hebrew that would be wholly unrecognizable today. It was 7 generations later that the prophet Enoch, from which Enochian gets its name, was deemed worthy enough by the archangels to not only re-establish communication, but to visit heaven to view the angelic choirs, the throne of God, and the celestial tablets themselves. During his visit, he copied 366 books, a mere fraction of the celestial tablets, and he was instructed by the angels to reseed this wisdom back into humanity. Alas, Enoch would ultimately fail, as his work was lost in the great flood that destroyed the world. Adam's primordial Hebrew tongue persisted up until the incident at the Tower of Babel. There, the rulers of Babylon ordered the construction of a colossal tower that was to reach heaven itself. Sickened by this hubris, God confused the tongues of the builders, severing all mode of communication between them and ending the project for good. Eventually, the builders moved away from Babylon and founded their own nations, establishing the various language families of the world. Adam's original Hebrew was lost, and the final fragments of the first language died with it. Millenniums pass. Our final stop is Renaissance England. The year is 1582, and a pair of new prophets begin to receive messages from beings claiming to be angels. The two Englishmen, a world-famous mathematician and an alchemist with a dark past, are told that they were selected to reseed the lost angelic language into humanity, and they are given this knowledge through a series of complex cryptographic puzzles. I
just looked at this, and right away, when my eyes just went to something, it says Abraham, right there, right in the middle, on the right hand. corner. With a D in the middle of Abraham. It says, and Abraham. That's where my eyes just went. Hey, did you see that too? If I make it. Yeah. And then, what else do I see here? Like, that's just what just caught my eye, right? Like, I'm good picking up anomalies like that. Eh? Just by looking real quick. And that's what I noticed.
Mr. Mythos, and I welcome you to Truth or Lore. Be sure to subscribe if you love the mysteries of history like I do. Every sub is a massive support to the videos I make on my channel.
I thought it was done.
You're about to explore not only the fascinating Enochian language itself, but also the truly mind-bending escapades of the two men involved. Without further ado, we'll begin by meeting our main protagonist, Dr. John Dee. This is Dee, a man described as tall and slender, with a very fair, clear sanguine complexion, a long beard as white as milk. He wore a gown like that of an artist, with hanging sleeves. But more than handsome and well-dressed, Dr. John Dee was undoubtedly one of the most influential forces in England. He was a world-renowned mathematician, linguist, navigator, inventor, astronomer, and astrologer, and through this capacity, he was the right-hand advisor to Queen Elizabeth I. Very little could occur without his expert consult, or a trip to his home in the town of Mortlake, which was considered at the time to be the largest and richest library in England, with more than 4,000 ancient scientific tomes, many of which he had sought and collected by hand. Dee lived during the English Renaissance, a time when science, magic, and religion blended like paints on a palette, and were largely considered interconnected parts in a grand search for understanding. Dee was an intense Christian, and many times stated that all knowledge served God. His religious beliefs were strongly influenced by Hermetic philosophies. Thus, he believed that the divine could influence nature, and natural scientific application could influence the divine. We find astrology and alchemy to be prime examples of this. But a third branch, known as theurgy, began to obsess Dee's mind. As the scientific world became more and more known to him, he sought knowledge that could not be extracted from the natural world. Theurgy, which translates to operation of the gods, was the study and practice of invoking supernatural deities, such as angels, to acquire lost knowledge or disclose ancient mysteries. Though his independent theurgical practice seemed to hit walls at every turn, one autumn evening of 1581, John Dee knelt in prayer, and, according to his journal, there suddenly glowed a dazzling light, in the midst of which, in all his glory, stood the great angel, Uriel.
Are you enjoying this? Hey? Isn't this right on cue with our little algorithm experiment? It's like the universe is giving it back to us, like saying, you're on the right path, right? See? Aren't you happy you've been along with me for this little journey? Right? It's all coming full circle. Right? Our baby's graduating. I don't know. I don't know how long it took to conceive this algorithm, but I think I started figuring it out after about 300 songs. I'm thinking. But how long did it take me to do that, right? I think by definitely after February 1st, it started to give me answers. Especially after Brent almost drowned. Hey? That was kind of weird. All the water things came in. And a while ago I saw a video. I don't know which one it was there. It's on my list. I think it was the medicine one. Medicine chant. Right? And you see the waterfalls in that freaking video, man? Hey, where they all join up. Remember? God is water. Takes the path of least resistance. Just like the algorithm. Anyways, when I saw that video a while ago, I was like, we're going back there, are we? And remember all the lessons we learned about water along the way? So, anyways, I think this book, or this little thing here, has a lot to do with exactly what we're doing. And this just came out on December 19th. Right? So, and this is not our usual, this was not suggested to us by our giving voice to the wisdom of the ages there. This is Mr. Mythos. This is not our regular suggestions. So it's like the algorithm has figured out what we're doing and sending us back the answer to the experiment. Freaking me out. It freaks me out a lot of times, the shit that shows up in here. You just gotta pay attention. See, I could have just not chose this. You know, a lot of it's with intuition too. I could have decided not to choose this, but something drew me to it, right? So I always go with my instincts. And if you're in touch with your instincts, your true compass, you know, then you'll receive the answers you're looking for when you seek and find and ask, and it shall be given, knock, and it shall be opened. You know, the Holy Ghost is the algorithm. It's the universe's way of trying to find a path of least resistance to communicate to you the messages of your code, your records.
This entity handed Dee a bright, clear crystal the size of an egg, and told him that by gazing through it, he could establish contact with angels. If you've ever seen an image of an old wizard gazing into a crystal ball, this cliché finds its roots in the story of John Dee. This technique would become known as scrying, where messages are transmitted from alternate realities by gazing into a suitable reflective surface. Dee called his crystal a shoe stone, and for weeks he tried to use it following Uriel's exact instructions, with no luck. Frustrated, he eventually hired other scryers, and they either failed the same as him, or were caught by Dee's careful eye as frauds. That was until a year later that a man approached John Dee and introduced himself as Edward Talbot, although his real name, or at least what we believe to be his real name, was Edward Kelly. To modern historians, many details of his true identity and perhaps dark and troubled past remain uncertain. Edward Kelly wore a cap on his head to hide the fact that both of his ears were cropped, a common punishment for forgery. He claimed to descend from the family of Umain of Ireland, and that he worked as a notary in London. Though his name was not in the registry of any known university, it is certain that Kelly was well educated, particularly in alchemy, and he knew both Latin and Greek. In their very first meeting, Kelly did what no other before him could do. He saw, heard, and spoke to the angels as an almost innate talent, and John Dee was convinced that Kelly's skill was genuine. To this day, there are reasons to side with Dee's assessment, despite the questionable character of Kelly, and this we'll explore in depth later. As for now, it was this fateful meeting that marked the beginning of an intense and eventful partnership that would last for 7 years, in which Dee and Kelly would perform scrying sessions almost daily. Under John Dee's command, these were conducted with the utmost Christian piety, forcing long periods of prayer, purification, and fasting prior. Then Kelly would gaze into sacred objects, such as Dee's mystical shoe stone and a black obsidian mirror, and report his visions. And in his precious journals, Dee would carefully document everything that Kelly saw or heard. In that first angelic conference, Kelly made contact with one of the 7 planetary archangels, Anel, who claimed to be the current successive ruler of the cosmos. In the following sessions, Anel then introduced the 2 Englishmen to the 4 archangels known as Uriel, Raphael, Michael, and Gabriel. It was these angels and the lesser angels directed by them that would eventually deliver the language we call Enochian.
Hey, how much of this letter page can you fill up with your research in 1 hour? Search for information. Dodge troll search.
John Dee was a learned scholar and knew well the legends of Enoch, the last purported human to speak with angels. In fact, he had long thought about the prophet, even before his vision of Uriel. Enoch was an alluring and highly mysterious figure for many scholars during Dee's time, and there are good reasons for this. To begin, he is only mentioned once in the entire Old Testament, and just as an entry in a long list of forefathers within the book of Genesis. There we learn that Enoch was the father of Methuselah, the longest-lived human in the Bible at 969 years, and the great-grandfather of Noah, who built the ark to survive the Great Deluge. But these relations are not why Enoch is so fascinating. 7 is a sacred number in the Bible, and Enoch is the 7th generation from Adam. Next, Enoch is said to have lived 365 years, another sacred number as the number of days in a solar year. Lastly, he is the only forefather in the entire list without a record of death. This passage reads as follows. Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. And that is the last mention of Enoch in the Old Testament. That is, unless you count the apocryphal book of Enoch.
Golf 301. Can you show me the drop stop on Federal? Can I run an ATV marker?
Affirmative.
43693, Lima Zulu. I'm showing it unattached. I'm available party for Friday.
Go ahead, Smale.
Stream is Golf Oscar Uniform, Charlie
after 500 years of being biblical canon, was stricken from the official Bible by both Jewish and Catholic authorities as blasphemy around the year 200 AD. This ancient and unique text contains a story of...
Marker comes back 1060, unattached to Elaine's auto out of Sudbury. And mail party is 1061, last figure is 2012 for drugs. Not getting a 1027 back for him.
Fallen angels, the origins of giants known as Nephilim, and the moral reasoning behind the Great Flood in Genesis. But perhaps most importantly, it fleshes out the details of the prophet Enoch and serves as the oldest known record of his life. By the medieval era, no living person in the Western world had ever read it. The legend of Enoch persisted only by word of mouth. So long had scholars and mystics continued to search for a surviving copy. But this would be found in Ethiopia in the 18th century, 200 years after John Dee died.
Let's start to look at it.
So now you understand why it made sense that in 1583, one of Dee's first serious requests to the angels was for a copy of the Book of Enoch.
Sorry, I'm gonna pause like this because I like to look at, because they show the book, eh? So I like to look at it. Because a lot of languages are very similar. They all originate from one source, but it's interesting. I like looking at different languages. You just go and you put in like in a universal language, in a universal dictionary, you just put in like mother. Just mother or father or child. You know, those like main words. And look at how it's said in all different languages. And you'll see they're very similar to French, a lot of the languages. They all, Latin really, Greek, and, you know, it's interesting. I was going to study linguistics at one point in my life, but, you know, I had to fight in court for fucking 20 years, so I lost my life.
As one of the known powers of angels was finding and obtaining long-lost texts. To his surprise, the archangels agreed, and they indeed upheld their promise to Dee. They brought him a Book of Enoch. However, it wasn't the apocryphal lost chapter of the Bible that Dee had in mind. They brought him a far more valuable treasure, the celestial tablets that Enoch himself had read and copied from during his legendary visit to heaven. The angels called it Loge. In their language, this translated to speech from God. They told the two men that it contained the 49 speeches God used
Golf Foxtrot, Lima Charlie, 15102287. Golf maybe a 6.
To create the world, entrances to the 48 gates of heaven, and the recorded destinies of all things in the
10-4, I
universe.
tried it with both a golf and a 6. Both come back 1060. Did not found.
In all dimensions of time. To Edward Kelly, the book appeared as a tome of 49 leaves, and each leaf contained two 49 by 49 square grids, one on the front and one on the back. An alien script filled the squares, the letters of which had been delivered in the form of a 21-character talismanic alphabet just days earlier. Here, they were written in what Kelly assumed to be the blood of lambs, as referenced in the book of Revelation. Upon the receival of Logate, D understood the tables to be a series of cryptographic puzzles, as the angels did not immediately provide a way. Receival of Logate, D understood the tables to be a series of cryptographic puzzles, as the angels didn't.
All kinds of words in there. Huh. I'm just looking at it, right? I see chanson. I see a dog. Car. Zach. Let's see. Age. Hade, galaxy, rotating, a galaxy rotating, dimanche, Sunday, weird, language, let's see. Are you seeing all these things? It's like a crossword puzzle, eh? I'll make a little crossword puzzle out of this. What else is there? You could do it backwards too. You get different words. Go diagonally. Right? Yeah. What do we see there? Oh, look at that. Oh shit! Look at that. Oh,
Can you turn that power on in QC 60 for us, please?
Huh. I'm gonna have to fucking look at this again another day, too, because it's weird, eh? It does seem like a fucking code. Born, right in the middle. Born, God, born of God. You see that right in the middle of the circle? Born, written one way, then born another way, going down like a 45-degree angle there. Born, and then God, of God, alpha. Oh shit, almost my name there. I'm missing the C. But the rest of the letters are there. A-N-T-A-L. Whoa. Right there. And then right after, G-E. Those are the... There's missing the first letter of my name, and... well, sure, it's almost my name there. A-N-T-A-L-G-E. Fuck. Right there. Huh. Gaia? Bag. I see bag twice there. Dog. It's there's something going on in here, man. Hold on. Fa. Ta. Yeah. I'm gonna have to look at this. There's definitely things going in threes here. Oh, look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Where's the 2 there? 2. 6, 6, 6, 5, 5, 5, 4, 4, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 7, 7, 7. Then 6, 6, 6, 5, 5, 5. And then it goes 5, 5, 5 there. And 4, 4, 4, 3, 3, 3, 1, 1. And 7, 7, 7, 6, 6, 6, 5, 5, 5, 4, 4, 4. Holy shit, eh? 3. It's doing a, oh, I know what this is, man. I'm not saying it out loud. But right in the middle there, I know what that is. All those numbers, the way they're going in that direction. I know what that is. And then 7, 7, 7, 6, 6, 6, 5, 5, 5, 4, 4, 3, 2, 2, 2, and then 1. And then there's 7, 6, 5, 4. It's making a star in the middle. It's making an image. It's like a paint by fucking number, man, in the middle. But it reverts into... I can't say what it is, but you need a calculator to do it. I'm not gonna tell you what it is. Anyway, because I might be on to something here. I'm not gonna give all my secrets away. But I understand what's going on in here for some reason. Maybe I've read this before. I don't know, but I'm looking at it. It ties into something else I was researching before. I'll have to look at this again. Born. Oh, I see it 3 times now. Born. 4. 4 times. Born. But it's going in an arrow pointing to born. Ogo. Born. Ogo.
For Lima 501.
Ogo.
501,
Suspicious vehicle call on Highway 101 West, outside outside of the Notre Dame trailer park. It's on the shoulder. It's a dark blue Chevy Silverado with the tailgate down when the four-way's on. Caller's saying that it looks like something in the box of the truck that appears to be what looks like a body. They said it could be a Halloween decoration, but it looked real. The caller drove by 10 minutes ago.
Whoa. Holy shit.
Just be advised, dispatch, I'm leaving base. For about 15 minutes, self-service. Roger. Showing them their own vehicles for that. Northeast 14070. Go ahead. I'm looking for you 10 minutes. Is there something I can assist with? I just missed feet at the beginning. For Lima 070, you can disregard. And for Lima 51, the sergeant's going to take it.
Holy shit, man. This is, we gotta listen more of what's going on here. There's something going on.
Not immediately provide a way to translate or decipher the grids. They only stated that the purpose of the Book of Loge was to open the gates of heaven, either to summon angels to earth, or to enter the celestial realm directly, as Enoch once did. The angels explained that John D. was expected to continue where Enoch had failed. D was to become a new prophet of God and reseed the lost language of angels back into the world of man. As he conducted his seances, Dr. John D. simultaneously instructed the science of navigation to many of those who would conduct England's voyages of discovery, and he found himself struck with a similar inspiration and opportunity. With the Queen's blessing, the doctor abruptly left his position at her side to travel to continental Europe, with Edward Kelly and their families trailing behind. They would spend the next 6 years as nomads as they keenly continued their angelic seances from city to city and attempted to win the patronage of kings, emperors, and clergymen. Copious notes in John D's journals reveal that D was more enthusiastic than ever, and Kelly was initially just as committed to their mutual goal when they arrived on the continent. But over time, it became apparent that Kelly was more interested in alchemy than scrying, and they scryed nearly every day. As the months and years passed, Kelly expressed deepening frustrations and a desire to stop. But D insisted that they continue their work. The second set of
We're 10 from that residence. We're just gonna pull off and do some notes here, and we'll send you some later shortly.
There's also a request for a standby keep the peace just in the queue for you guys.
Yeah, we'll take a look.
Enochian texts were received by Kelly in 1584 in the city of Krakow, where they stayed in the court of Polish King Stefan Batory. These would be known as the 48 Keys, and there is a distinct difference between the language written in them versus the language used in the Book of Loge. Whether they are two dialects of the same celestial speech as the postulated the 48 keys can be considered as the Enochian language proper, as this time around they were given translations, thus providing a foundation of Enochian grammar and vocabulary. As for the contents, the 48 keys are an example of pure esoteric literature. On the surface, they seem to be a series of archaic and convoluted poetic verses. But in order for one to decipher the actual meanings behind
detachment looking to report fraud, $200 from a credit card, $200 charge on her credit card that she lost last night outside Dino's Pizzeria. She's looking to talk to an officer.
Behind them, that person would need to possess deep knowledge of astrology, ancient Hebrew mysticism, and numerology. Even John Dee, who is a world-recognized expert in these fields, would never fully deduce their meanings. And this was a problem, as the angels revealed that the true purpose of the 48 keys was to present a solution to the 49
This is the same one. Yeah. This is the same one, okay. But it's more in depth here, you see, further. Nope. No, it's just the same one. Bornogo. This is a map of some kind. It's a 3D fucking map with words and numbers. It's like an origami there.
cryptographic puzzles in the Book of Loge, finally allowing Dee and Kelly to access the literal words of God and their destiny as successors of Enoch. This lock and key system between the two texts was referred to as Gebofal by the archangels and involved a 49-day ritual over which each key would invoke the angel guarding one of the 49 gates of heaven, these gates represented by the magic tables in Loge. Moving on, we now approach one of the most perplexing pieces of evidence for Enochian authenticity. If the delivery of the Book of Loge seemed like a simple case of glossolalia, or speaking in tongues, particularly as there were never any translations given, the picture becomes a bit more complicated when considering exactly how the 48 keys were received in Krakow. Each key was processed letter by letter, word by word, backwards. The exact process is understood by piecing together these highly detailed notes and transcripts. For example, Edward Kelly, in his trance, would report that the angel points to column 5, rank 23. John Dee would then reference the relevant grid in the Book of Logate and write down the letter he found in that square. Once the cipher sequence was complete, Dee was instructed to rewrite each word backwards to reveal the true message. So what does this mean? Well, if we were to take the stance that Kelly was a con man, we would have to consider an incredible feat. To produce the keys, he would have had to memorize the grids within the Book of Logate. There are 96 grids in total, each 49 by 49 squares. This requires knowing the identity and exact position of 117,649 talismanic letters. Not to mention that he would have had to create his own functional language, write poetry in it, and painstakingly spell those poetic verses backwards to John Dee. Why would Kelly go through all this trouble? If he was attempting to deceive Dee, wouldn't there have been an easier way? Clearly, meticulous care was taken in the delivery of the keys. There were no misspellings, nor were there noticeable errors in word usage between parts. After the ciphers were written, English translations were tapped out on little strips of paper, emerging from the angel's gaping mouth. This is how the Enochian we know today was received.
The mighty sounds have entered in the third angle and are become as olives in the olive mount, looking with gladness upon the earth, and dwelling in the brightness of the heavens as continual confidence.
It's a fact. People in 2021 are losing weight faster and easier than ever before.
Now would be a good time to cross-examine Enochian itself and ask whether it's a real functional language. To begin, Enochian has been studied by many linguists throughout the years to determine its characteristics and authenticity as a natural
The caller's saying his ATV was running his ATV and started smoking and caught on fire. He is saying that the ATV is no longer on fire. He contacted fire departments. They won't attend in that area. Told him to report it to the OPP. It's a 2012 Terralander, orange in color. Caller's a William Fife.
Never. I'll give him a call.
language, as opposed to an invented one. Here's what they learned. Enochian possesses its own unique phonetic system, grammar and syntax, with a vocabulary that may be rather limited due to the non-availability of other texts. but is still able to produce subtle, complex, and intricate parlance, as seen in the translation of the
In the wings of the wind, is of wonder, O ye that cannot first. When the burning flame hath framed flint, whom I have prepared as cups for a wedding, or as the flowers in her beautiful chamber court.
48 Keys.
Well,
Parlance, as seen in the translation of the 48 Keys. This has led skeptics to believe that the Enochian language may actually be plagiarized from another linguistic source. But Enochian shows no relation to any known language, including Biblical Hebrew, which is often thought by Christians and Jews to be the closest relative to the original primordial language of Adam. The linguistic problem created by this is that historians of languages generally agree that it's impossible for a person to invent a new language without drawing from existing sources, whether intentionally or not. If Enochian truly is unique in this regard, one must seriously consider the possibility that this language delivered to Edward Kelly is natural, or technically supernatural. Even the most respected and challenging critic of Enochian, the linguist Donald Laycock, writes the following at the conclusion of the complete Enochian dictionary, which he authored. We still do not know whether it is a natural or an invented language. If the language itself is difficult to challenge, we must now turn to its script system. The Enochian alphabet has 21 letters. When spelled, diacritical marks, also known as accents, may be included, and only a scant few letters have direct English equivalents, while many have their own unique pronunciation. Enochian script is written from right to left, which is its only similarity to ancient Biblical Hebrew. If Kelly or Dee drew inspiration from another source, it's possible that we'd find it in the alphabet, which was the first angelic material received by Kelly just days before the Book of Logate in March of 1583. It's notable that John Dee once owned an alchemical treatise written by Giovanni Panthius in 1530, which contained a table labeled Enochian Alphabet of the Ancients. In the treatise itself, one can find an abundance of notes scribbled by John Dee, and even an attempt to write his own name using Panthius's alphabet. But if you look closely, there is virtually no similarity to the angelic script received by Edward Kelly. If anything, this just shows that Dee's pursuit of the Enochian language dates back further into his academic career than what was once thought. Though John Dee and Edward Kelly continued to work cooperatively, the tension between the two Englishmen grew starkly as they traveled the continent, particularly after the reception of the 48 Keys. During this time, a close associate remarked that Dee seems to have driven Kelly to the brink of insanity, forcing him to perform long scrying sessions on a near daily basis. To add to this, Dee demanded long periods of fasting and cleansing before each. Perhaps this unending stress upon Edward Kelly is what brought about the infamous cross-matching incident that would ultimately lead to the destruction of their partnership. In 1587, Kelly made contact with the angels once more, but this time they brought with them an unexpected demand. In the interest of furthering the philosophical partnership of the two men, they ordered that John Dee and Edward Kelly share everything they had. Everything. And this included their wives. Dee was hurt and anguished by this order, as was his wife, Jane, who reportedly fell weeping and trembling. Of course, he initially objected, but after days of interrogation of Kelly and the angels themselves, should they be demons in disguise, he became convinced at the end that the order was genuine and that it was God's will. John Dee wrote in his diary, May 22nd, Mistress Kelly received the sacrament, and to me and my wife gave her hand in charity, and we rushed not from her. The pain and regret proved too much for Dee, and he could no longer proceed with their angelical meetings. 9 months later, Jane Dee gave birth to a son, Theodorus Trebonianus Dee. There was speculation among them that the boy was actually Kelly's, but Theodore was raised as Dee's own, and Dee loved him indifferently. The cross-matching incident would remain a secret for the remainder of John Dee's life. In 1589, he and his family returned to England, and Edward Kelly found work as the chief alchemist of Rudolph II. They would never see each other again. It's finally time to dive into the theories surrounding the authenticity of Enochian. We'll begin with the prime culprit, a man who has carried the label of fraud and charlatan for centuries, Edward Kelly. So who was he really? It's true that he was known to Dee under a different name, Edward Talbot, and we can only assume that Kelly was his real name. Historians know that he was well educated, but have difficulty tracking down exactly where. The most likely institution is Oxford University, where the name Talbot of Ireland was found as a Bachelor of Divinity. According to students who housed with his Talbot, at some point he abruptly left Oxford with an unsettled mind. The reason for his leaving remains unknown. And from face value, Edward Kelly certainly fits the profile of an untrustworthy figure. Alleged crimes he was tried for in his past include forgery, counterfeiting, and necromancy, the practice of using dead bodies to foretell prophecies. Thus, many skeptics of Enochian's authenticity believe that Kelly deceived John Dee for the purpose of gaining money and influence, which is a legitimate motive. Dee never actually saw or heard the angels he communicated with. All messages were transmitted to and from through Kelly. Dee candidly confesses in his diary, "You know I cannot see nor scry." And this emphasizes the trust he placed in Kelly's word. This clearly leaves Kelly in an advantageous position. But there are indeed a multitude of problems with this theory. First, it seemed to John Dee and all other witnesses that Kelly was a rather reluctant participant in the long term of Dee's angelic pursuit. For someone who apparently wanted to break off the seances during the recital of the 48 keys, the arduous, stressful, and needlessly complex method of their delivery would appear to be even more undesirable. Again, we would have to assume that he not only memorized the positions of 117,649 characters, but that he could speak Enochian backwards. When many times Kelly complained to Dee that he could barely understand the learned tongues forward, why would he go through such lengths and trouble? Second, the English translation of the 48 keys display a completely different writing style as compared to Kelly's own works. The solution would be that Kelly plagiarized them, but yet again, no source material has ever been found. Third, it is often overlooked that Kelly was only one in a line of several scryers approved and employed by John Dee. Before him was Barnabas Saul. Then after Kelly was John Dee's own son, Arthur, who was finally succeeded by Bartholomew Hickman. If Edward Kelly had falsified the angelic conversations, stylistic, thematic, and methodological fluctuations between each scryer would be found in the transcripts recorded by Dee, and this is not the case. The reality is that Dee's conversations with the archangels Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel seem to change little from one scryer to the next, and with many direct parallels found between them. From this, we may actually begin to draw suspicions from another individual, the only one present through the entire length of this enterprise, Dr. John Dee himself. If there was any man capable of creating Enochian, perhaps it would have been John Dee. This man was incredibly learned, particularly in mathematics and, more relevantly, cryptography. Because of his expertise, John Dee was actually the founder of England's very first secret intelligence service, a predecessor to the UK's modern-day MI6. He established the world's most elaborate network of spies at that time under the rule of Elizabeth I. And when he wrote to his queen, he...
Go ahead.
You do 2729 on the complainer for that fire.
signed his name as 007.
He's 1061, Flight Victor, last entry 1990. Violence, fast, another criminal code. And he's licensed, class golf, no restrictions out of Durham.
Individual. The only one present through the entire length of this enterprise, Dr. John Dee himself. If there was any man capable of creating Enochian, perhaps it would have been John Dee. This man was incredibly learned, particularly in mathematics and, more relevantly, cryptography. Because of his expertise, John Dee was actually the founder of England's very first secret intelligence service, a predecessor to the UK's modern-day MI6. He established the world's most elaborate network of spies at that time under the rule of Elizabeth I. And when he wrote to his queen, he signed his name as 007, a trait that inspired that of the fictional spy James Bond. And this leads to a rather interesting theory that John Dee was actually England's first spy, as he traveled across continental Europe with Kelly under the disguise of an eccentric old man searching for angels. Indeed, John Dee was loyally devoted to his beloved England. Who do you think coined the term British Empire? He was not only one of Queen Elizabeth's primary advisors, he was also her...
Hey, do you want to mark this vehicle out of service for a little bit? It's just going in for tire maintenance, so I'm going to hop in with Sergeant Perry.
a longtime personal friend. They first met when the young Princess Elizabeth Tudor was held under house arrest by her paranoid half-sister, the ruling queen who would become known to history as Bloody Mary. Dee was Elizabeth's science tutor, and they developed a friendship which would eventually last a lifetime. As queen, Elizabeth funded many of his mystical endeavors and protected her friend against those who accused him of witchcraft. And Dee would always remain by her side, continuing close communication with her, even as he left England with Kelly. Maybe this fact grants Dee some deserved credibility and trustworthiness. On this note, we may also need to consider that Dee was an intensely devout Christian, and it was obvious to everyone around him that he took his research into the magic and language of angels seriously, sometimes in vulnerable moments expressing great frustration over the torturous task of translation and understanding its convoluted pronunciation and grammar. His character is consistent and not easily doubted. Since the very kindling of his interest in divine wisdom, Dee sought it out not only for his own curiosity as an insatiable scholar, but as a sacred duty to heaven. He states in his journal, "My commission is from God. I feign nothing, neither am I a hypocrite, an ambitious man, or doting or dreaming in this cause." Thus, the last question asked by skeptics is often of Dee's sanity. During his lifetime, there were never any signs of mental illness reported by his family or associates, one of whom commented that Dee's approach to every seance was singularly free from deluded fanaticism. In his own notes, one can find his painstaking cross-examination of each transcript, his meticulous authentication of each angel's identity.
Just have another call in queue, fraud complaint. The caller's Natalie's here. She's en route to her mother's residence at 388 Drury Lane. Says her mom purchased a $450 Visa gift card and gives the caller suspects the info with the card. Whoever she gave the information to told her that he was in Raymore and on his way to her residence.
And his most vulnerable self-reflections and admissions of failure. Thus, the brain sickness theory is a disservice to a man that certainly deserves history's respect. Free from the shackles of angels and John Dee, Edward Kelly went on to indulge in the patronage of Holy Roman Emperor Rudolph II, whom he had convinced that his alchemical experiments would soon produce gold. He lived lavishly, and in 1590 was even knighted Sir Edward Kelly of Imani and New Leuben. This high lifestyle, however, would not last long, as the destiny of Kelly would begin to play its cards. In May of 1591, Rudolph arrested and imprisoned Kelly, supposedly for killing an official named Jerry Hunkler in a duel. It's more likely, however, that Rudolph didn't want Kelly to escape from Prague before he actually produced gold. 4 years later, in the dungeons, Kelly pleaded with Rudolph, finally convincing him that he could fulfill his alchemic promise. He was restored to his former status, but under close watch over many months, he was unable to transmute the materials into gold. Tired of Kelly's sly games, Rudolph imprisoned him for the final time in Geneveen Castle in the city of Most. In 1598, Kelly attempted to escape from the high tower. He fell, broke his legs, and was dragged back into the dungeon, dying from his injuries only a few days later. If fate seemed cruel to Kelly, John Dee's was more quiet and solemn. At the request of Queen Elizabeth herself, Dee returned with his family to England in 1589. He arrived in London by train, the guard of 20 soldiers at his side. The Queen received him in Richmond and welcomed him back. Unfortunately, reality set in when he finally returned to his home in Mortlake, finding that his precious, beloved personal library had been vandalized without mercy, its interior torched, and more than a third of its priceless manuscripts stolen. He learned that many of his neighbors feared him to be a conjurer. Much had changed in England since he left. Now his study and practice of the occult was damningly scrutinized and no longer accepted by the public. John Dee's heart in shambles. He sought support from Elizabeth, who graciously appointed him a new position as warden of Christ Church in Manchester. But even there, he was despised and cheated by his fellows and subordinates. And soon after, his wife Jane and 2 of their daughters were taken by the Black Death epidemic. In 1603, Queen Elizabeth died and was immediately succeeded by James I. King James ordered the surveillance of all known sorcerers, of which they greatly harassed the 76-year-old John Dee, stripping him of his work positions. Finally, as a beaten old man, he sold whatever beloved books remained, one by one, in order to feed himself and his daughter Catherine, who cared for him until his death at the age of 81 in Mortlake. Dee's gravestone was stolen, and thus his burial site and exact year of death remain unknown to this day. Reflecting upon the fate of John Dee, I'll note that he recorded a bone-chilling nightmare in 1583, the year he left England with Kelly. Saturday night, I dreamed that I was dead, and afterward my bowels were taken out. I walked and talked with divers, and among others, with the Lord Thresorer, who was come to my house to burn my books.
Hey, how much of this letter page can you fill up with your research in 1 hour? Search for information, dodge troll search results.
Though the tale of Dr. John Dee and his search for divine knowledge is tragic, today the complexities of Dee are recognized, as are his political and scientific contributions to the world at large. But his most important work, at least considered by him, was the celestial language he and Kelly discovered. And what we know about Enochian today comes directly from his meticulous journalings. As an old man, fearful that his neighbors and townsfolk would burn his work as heretical, he hid several of his journals and a grimoire in the false bottom of a wooden chest, where they would remain hidden for over 50 years after his death. This chest was auctioned off to a confectioner as a gift to his wife, who didn't discover the false bottom until 20 years later. Leaving the found journals at her desk for later investigation, her illiterate maid tore many of the pages to kindle the fireplace, until the wife caught her doing this and rescued what scraps remained. What we still have today is significant, largely thanks to the level of detail and copious amount of notes produced by John Dee. Unfortunately, that doesn't make up for the fact that parts of Dee's original manuscripts are now lost, as is the ability to fully interpret the meaning and validity of Enochian. Speaking of Enochian, Dee never actually called it that. He referred to it variously as Adamical, Angelical, or Celestial speech. Today, we call it Enochian due to the Book of Logaeth allegedly descending from the mythological work copied by Enoch, in the same way that the books of the Torah are referred to as Mosaic, in reference to the biblical hero Moses. Much of Dee's Enochian knowledge remained hidden in unopened journals that were auctioned off to different households, until the late 1800s, when a group known as the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn was formed. They made a serious effort to collect and include Dee's work as part of their curriculum, as Dee was a thought leader in Hermetic philosophy. However, as they only had access to several of his journals, the Golden Dawn were wholly unaware of the existence of the Book of Logaeth. This resulted in a divergent Enochian system of magic that resembles, but is ultimately separate from Dee's original, and for the next 100 years include
domestic in Elart, the callers from Neofax reporting Shan Lockery is physically fighting with her partner, Chris Knight. Caller says that there's red marks on the side of Cheyenne's face. Caller said Jennifer Maley.
Divorce is taking place now.
including Enochian's popularization by the famous Aleister Crowley, Dee's system was overlooked. That is, until the early 2000s, when the
I guess it was happening just in the last couple of minutes. I'm not sure if she's at the residence or if they're
Internet rediscovered John Dee's original work. Today, students of the occult have put in monumental effort to decipher and understand Enochian as Dee saw it, and perhaps overcome the barriers he never made it past. But certain questions may forever remain. Do you think the two Englishmen actually spoke to angels? Is Enochian really the world's most ancient language? And will the hidden ciphers of the Book of Logaeth ever be decrypted? Let your theories be known in the comments below, and maybe we can solve these mysteries. As for now, thank you all so much for watching. If you haven't already,
Well, it's kind of hard to invent a fucking pretty solar language. So, and think about it, right? All languages are kind of similar, but they were changed by accents or different races, pronunciations, their tongues, their actual tongues, you know, the way their tongues are formed to make sounds or whatever, like the way their mouths turn the words, you know what I mean? That's why all the languages are similar but different. But then you get one guy that comes from one country, one race, meets another race. They don't know their languages. So eventually, they're going to communicate and find, like, common words. They're going to say, oh, yeah, mama, like, your mother, you know, that's my mother, that's your mother, you know, and so then let's say that guy goes back to his country, and then he tells, like, I met this guy, and he's got mama. That's a mama for him, So they start using that word. And then they go to a different country, and then they start saying mama, and then that country, they don't know what mama is. They're like, yeah, mama. That's my mama. Like, you know what I mean? And then eventually, they're like, well, we call this not mama, it's maybe papa, or whatever. And then they're like, okay, mappa. Like, so they make up a fucking word, And next thing you know, we got all these different languages. Then you got China. Fuck. Yeah. Look at their writing. Then we're in a different ballgame. Right? Because obviously they were dealing with symbols before phonetics. They were looking at these. You know what I mean? They weren't developing their language based on what other people were saying. They were basing their language on what they were seeing. So obviously they had insight into some kind of a code way before people started going around and trying to make vowel sounds. I don't know, there's something else going on there. And that's why they're more advanced, right? There's a little hidden thing going on there. That's my little take on the situation. I gotta go to bed now because I got a face mask on. I kind of channeled Africa there for an hour, and now I'm going to bed. I'm gonna wash my face. My face is black right now. All right. And I got my alarm set for 11:11. I don't think I'm waking up at 11:11. It's not gonna be nice today, so I don't feel bad. In the winter, I don't feel bad about doing night shifts. It's just in the summer. Anyways, so now we'll see what tomorrow brings, or what today brings. Eh? Snow, maybe. Fuck. Anyways, have a good sleep. Depends. It's 10:06. So you're gonna go to bed now? Because I'm going to bed. And then when I wake up, you're gonna wake up? Is that how that goes? Are you like my ghost? Are you my shadow? Right? We have to give you a name. What's your name? Do you got a secret language? Tell me your name. Morse code it. Can you Morse code it? I don't even know Morse code. Well, I know it if I have the table beside me, but off the top of my head, no. But if I have the alphabet beside me, yeah, I can convert it for you. Hey? We can start talking in Morse code, fuck. Go back to like CB days there. No? Walkie-talkie days. Hey? Be like, hey, I got a fucking squirrel over here. Tell my brother I got the squirrel over here, and he comes with the fucking slingshot. Anywho, think about how you're going to develop your language, communicate with me, because I can't be telepathic all the time and guess what you're saying. And sometimes I think you're fucking with my head, so if at least you had a language, I'd be able to tell if you're lying. But I do know sometimes when you are. Because, I went to go check Plenty of Fish, and you still didn't message me, even though you said you would. So I think you like making me go in circles sometimes. Eh? But that's karma for you. Like, deal with your own shit. I'm just saying. You start learning my language. It's called truth. No, truth. Never hurt anybody. Lying does stuff. Alright, anyways, I'm going to bed.
rewards of self-mastery and discipleship. As you move into the realm of self-mastery, you automatically begin to view your life and the world from a higher vantage point and with much wiser insight. You begin to embrace your reality through a filter of love, light, and non-judgment, and discernment become a natural part of your state of being. A good affirmation to remember and use is, I embrace the wholeness of my divine reality. There is power in humility. There is power in forgiveness. There is power in gratitude. Love is the power which contains all the virtues and qualities of God consciousness. Many of you are aware that in the beginning states of the initiation process, there is a crisis of the battle for supremacy begins between the ego personality and the soul. Each person must endeavor to clear his or her illusionary, distorted reality of the astral plane. The ego desire personality is controlled by the energies and impulses of the three lower chakras. These out of balance inclinations must be brought to control.
Can you just, okay, so it might be self-11B, this collision. Visual by March Regan, there was nothing there. Where I've located it, it's self-11B on scene now.
Soul self once more. This period is often called the dark night of the soul, or traversing the realm of shadows. When you're in the midst of the process, it is important to understand that you are not being punished. After you successfully traverse.
Good.
The Shadowlands and emerge triumphant, you will look back in retrospect, and you will realize that you were given a great opportunity. A spiritual aspirant is consciously aware human being who is seeking enlightenment and self-mastery. In the beginning stages, he or she is still somewhat self-focused, often prone to temper and irritability, and may experience bouts of self-doubt and depression. A spiritual aspirant must develop sensitivity and a loving, understanding nature. The aspirant's life purpose will gradually move away from personal ambition and love of power into a desire to be of service to humanity. A desire to serve others is a soul instinct. An aspirant gradually begins to let go of the "it is all about me" and the "I, me, my" concept as the external focus slowly begins to fade. There is a gradual turning inward, and the major focal point becomes the solar power center, which is comprised of the solar plexus, heart, thymus, and throat. As this area is bathed in the higher threefold flame within the chest area begins to blaze forth once more in preparation for the opening of the portal of the Sacred Heart.
Seven is just a wellness check at 660 Eastwood Avenue in Coulter. The caller's Gilbert Survey. He's got a property there, and he says his tenant, he tenanted yesterday and the door was left open. He yelled to the residents with no response and hasn't been able to reach the tenant. I guess he's saying that he hasn't spoken with him in 3 months. The guy's truck's still in the driveway, and the caller's father attended the property last week, and same thing, no one answered the door. He's looking for somebody to check on him.
Allow us to give you a few more important key points to assist you.
Okay, Harley with 31, you guys have this as well.
To become a full-fledged spiritual aspirant on the path of enlightenment. The emotional body is a reflector. It responds to external stimulation, such as other people, events, emotional attachments, and addictions. Tread the path of life gently and reverently. Speak softly with discernment. See that your actions reflect the purity of your God self. and leave footprints of light for others to follow. There is an ebb and flow to the cycles of the soul, just as there is throughout the cosmos. The soul draws forth the essence of life from its God seed atom in preparation for a new life cycle of experience. At the end of that cycle, the life essence is slowly withdrawn, and the physical death process results. However, the real you in spiritual form remains, for you are immortal. The soul impulses and influences are much stronger in a being who has stepped onto the path of awareness than they are in an unawakened person who is still caught up in the illusion of a third, fourth dimensional existence. You must strive to maintain an ever-expanding state of soul consciousness in order to progress on the upward spiral of ascension. It is time for those who will be among the New World servers to become aware of each other. Criticism is a faculty of the ego and the lower mind. Criticizing or finding fault with yourself or others is detrimental to the extreme. You add energy to that which you focus your attention on. Therefore, it is the utmost importance that you look for the good in everyone and everything. Constructive criticism is sometimes necessary. However, it should only be used to assist someone to correct harmful behavior, take the right action, or find the appropriate direction. You can only fail if you quit trying. You may lose time, however, you should gain some knowledge with each failure. Growth and wisdom come from learning what not to do, and in perfecting the skills that will help you become proficient in your chosen field of endeavor. Lower vibrational energy creates discordant frequencies within your soul song. The vibrations of discord cause discomfort within the area where it originated, or where it is focused within the physical vessel. If the negative energy patterns are strong enough, they can create disease and will eventually contaminate the entire body. You must tame and gain control of your emotional body via your higher self, guides and angelic helpers, in order to become receptive to the refined frequencies of cosmic truth. You must clear the mind of distorted, negative, deafening thoughts. Only a clear vessel can receive and transmit the wisdom teaching of the cosmic libraries of God consciousness. A spiritual seeker refuses to pay attention to public opinion, judgment, or failure. Aspirants are recognized by their vibrational frequencies or light quotient, not by their knowledge or by their deeds. Remember, beloveds, the clarion call from your soul self will continue to echo until you heed the call. Many of you have begun or are ready to begin your true mission, whatever that may be. But never forget that the ultimate goal is to be a conveyor of Creator love light. We are aware that the future is uncertain and everyone is experiencing pain and discomfort in varying degrees. We ask you to focus on the miracles and progress you are making and not allow the fear of the masses to infect your mind as you move through and beyond all the massive changes that are taking place in your world. Know that together we will overcome all adversity. Our mission is to open the way for any dear soul who expresses a desire to return to harmony and attunement with their God self. Dear ones, when you feel alone or in doubt or despair, come into your pyramid of light and we will give you courage, uplift, and inspire you. When you feel lonely or unloved, move into your heart center and we will be there waiting to fill you with radiant love of your Mother, Father, God. I am your constant companion. I am Archangel Michael.
Thursday, forming the 301 radio check. William Mass 301, you're coming in 10-2. 10-4, use all, we're on crew. 10-4.
Thursday, Franco 101.
Go ahead.
7103 is this MEC and school bus is talking to the complainant and she's advised that it's a white transport tractor trailer, unsure of what the load was, headed southbound and continue southbound and in the event that it stopped at Latchford. If you can let North Bay know possibly to look for white tractor trailer. I know it's kind of tough, but we went with some damages. So far.
10-4.
to the occurrence, the damages would be on the driver's side of the transport trailer.
10-4.
Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. Stop acting so small. You are the universe in ecstatic motion. What you seek is seeking you. Don't grieve. Anything you lose comes around in another form. Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I am changing myself. You were born with wings. Why prefer to crawl through life? Don't be satisfied with stories, how things have gone with others. Unfold your own myth. Everything that is made beautiful and fair and lovely is made for the eye of one who sees. Why should I be unhappy? Every parcel of my being is in full bloom. Raise your words, not voice. It is rain that grows flowers, not thunder.
Oscar 091.
That make you fearful.
Oscar 091, go ahead. 101 Foliot, request to change to 3 out 12. That's far, go ahead.
Full and sad.
4 Echo 107.
Back.
107.
Got a suspicious person call. It's in front of 336424 Highway 11, north of 80 Creek Garden Road. Caller says that there's a person laying on the side of the road by the guardrails. Doesn't know if it's male or female. Says there's a can of beer near them. And it's about 100 feet south of that address. They weren't sure if the person was breathing or not, or unconscious, but they're saying that they are moving, and they think it might be a male party.
10-4, so they're stopped there right now.
Transport, it looks like the caller lives at that address.
10-4, I'll head up. Maybe letting him in still. I can see them parked actually over at Denny's here in town.
10-4.
Towards disease and death. There is a candle in your heart, ready to be kindled. There is a void in your soul, ready to be filled. You feel it, don't you? Words are a pretext. It is the inner bond that draws one person to another, not words. Goodbyes are only for those who love with their eyes, because for those who love with heart and soul, there is no such thing as separation. Set your life on fire. Seek those who fan your flames.
Just reading the updates, we could stand EMS down. Sounds like he's walking.
I know you're tired, but come. This is the way. This is love. To fly toward a secret sky. To cause 100 veils to fall each moment. First to let go of life. Finally, to take a step without feet. The wound is the place where the light enters you. And so it is that both the devil and the angelic spirits present us with objects of desire to awaken our power of choice. Wherever you are, and whatever you do, be in love. Start a huge, foolish project. Like Noah, it makes absolutely no difference what people think of you. Reason is powerless in the expression of love. You have to keep breaking your heart until it opens. These pains you feel are messengers. Listen to them. Let the lover be disgraceful, crazy, absent-minded. Someone sober will worry about things going badly. Let the lover be. Your heart is the size of an ocean. Go find yourself in its hidden depths. I want to sing like the birds sing, not worrying about who hears or what they think. Take someone who doesn't keep score, who's not looking to be richer
For Echo 101.
or a pleasure,
Echo 107.
who has not the slightest interest
Sorry, go on,
in
so good.
his own personality.
Just inquiring if Kirkland would have released a 1092 early this morning or early last night.
For Echo 101.
Echo 101, go ahead.
Set of track lanes northbound from Temagami, clean of a tractor trailer all over the road. It's an unknown cab color with a silver box trailer that's swerving all over the road, keeps crossing center line and then back to the shoulder. The marker's something similar to 52378 uniform or 88 is what the caller provided. Caller's behind in a white Honda Accord.
10-4, just south of Flashford, I'll be on the lookout.
When the world pushes you to your knees, you're in the perfect position to pray. Live life as if everything is rigged in your favor. I am not this hair. I am not this skin. I am the soul that lives within. Be full of sorrow, that you may become hill of joy. Weep, that you may break into laughter. Sell your cleverness and buy bewilderment. Cleverness is mere opinion. Bewilderment brings intuitive knowledge. Be empty of worrying. Think of who created thought. Let yourself be silently drawn by the strange pull of what you really love. It will not lead you astray. The lion is most handsome when looking for food. The very center of your heart is where life begins, the most beautiful place on earth. Don't you know yet? It is your light that lights the worlds. Love is the bridge between you and everything. Seek the wisdom that will untie your knot. Seek the path that demands your whole being. To praise the sun is to praise your own eyes.
North vehicle 107.
Dance.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just speaking with Sergeant Warren Kirkland. There might be a rail that was on. Apparently he's making his way by foot to Timiskaming. I had a couple of calls with him there last night. Just a traffic hazard.
Transport.
Until you shatter yourself. It's your road and yours alone. Others may walk it with you, but no one can walk it for you. Why do you stay in prison when the door is so wide open? As you start to walk on the way appears. Very little grows on jagged rock.
Vehicle 107.
Be crowned.
107, right?
The wild flowers will come up where you are.
Speed 1069 for that mail party.
Yeah, 10-4, I'm still northbound here, just a bit north of Eden Creek. Haven't seen him yet.
Searching.
Transport, he is Mike Victor, 1072 firearms, regular ignitions, criminal harassment at Road Baker Lake, and 1072 drive, unpaid fines. CNI Mike Victor, last abuse 2011, violence, beating, theft, fraud, other criminal code, failed to attend and driving, and then he's Mike and Victor nervous.
Okay, 10-4, Mr. Road 6, I see him walk in there, I'll turn around.
Transport.
Darkness is your candle. The only lasting beauty is the beauty of the heart. The universe is not outside of you. Look inside yourself. Everything that you want, you already are. Close your eyes. If light is in your heart, you will find your way home. Achieve some perfection yourself, so that you may not fall into sorrow by seeing the perfection in others. This is a subtle truth. Whatever you love, you are. Forget safety. Live where you fear to live. What is planted in each person's soul will sprout. In each
Vehicle 107.
the fire rages.
Go ahead.
Will burn away.
So I'm assuming this male is Real. He's quite combative with the, he's walking away. He's refusing to answer any questions. He's yelling at me for some incident that apparently I caused last night.
Did you want another unit up there, or?
Winter, maybe, he doesn't have, I guess last night he had a stick, he doesn't have a stick, he's just got a black backpack, but he still looks like he's sort of waving at the cars there, and he's definitely shouting towards me, but he is walking southbound well off the roadway here. He is trying to get a ride, though.
Okay. Let's like this one.
Sure, he's got some mental health issues, but he's not really making much sense.
10-4, yeah, you just flagged Mike and RMS.
Pedos is en route from Didnt. 10-4, yeah, the sergeant was looking up some occurrences there with him last night. Apparently he was supposed to bring him to New Lister, but I guess that didn't go very well. He probably refused him.
Roxy?
Weigh 100 bales and carry you 1,000 steps toward your goal. Living consciously in the hologram. Beloved ones, everything in the universe is conscious. Everything is alive to love. Everything is available to know deeply. And everything is awake within your heart. So as you go forth each day, live each moment with
Protocol 103. I know you're still with the bus. I just have a traffic light that's northbound from Lashford. It's complete with a tractor-trailer that's swerving back and forth across the center line and almost ran another vehicle off the road. It's a white tractor, white trailer, and no marker.
Okay, I'll pull over then. North Bay Echo 101.
Go ahead.
I've traveled southbound all the way to the occurrence location, and I have not seen that transport, so that possibly could be the one that I'm looking for.
Well, we didn't have a cat color for the one that had originally come in, just a silver box trailer.
10-4, I didn't observe that white Honda, so I feel like it was by me by the time I got that call.
10-4.
and invite all of life into that you might experience deeply, the love that you are and the wonderful relationship that you share with the whole. Every bright, amazing quark of energy is fully alive, a quantum field of love.
And
I'll be off on Euclid Ave. I'm just trying to locate 660.
10-4.
With your amazing heart shining, radiant, present, you are the miracle within which all is moving. You are the awareness of God. For everything I am, you are. This you know already. But so much of this is forgotten through the mind, through the dream of being a separated self. It is time to invite the holographic presence. Time to experience the miracle that you are. Time to be alive in the communion that is the whole of life alive within. It is time to be the heart. You are delivered from living a singular path, and you become instead the love that mixes it all, that delights in life, that is multi-layered consciousness filled with presence and with joy. In this way, you leap from a linear perception of life and time, and become instead the universe within which love occurs, the place where I am finding myself and waking into an ever greater communion. First, you must release the idea that you know anything about life. For the thinking mind, when it believes it knows, cuts itself off from the communion of now. When you come into each moment like a brand new child just brought to birth, then you can live through the heart and the place of life that is just now beginning, and you are
Alpha Whiskey 10284.
You are forming new relationships with the hologram of love. So this step that you are about to take is a miracle. That love is present in
1060 on a red Dodge Ram to Eva Savard, 656 Eastwood.
Dropping ideas of being human, instead being the embracing heart, present and alive.
Okay, 10-4. So I think it's the door next door. You can show them
Come into a brand new life. Please release the ideas you hold about what life is and about this world. See, beloved ones, with new eyes, the eye of the heart, the eye of the hologram, the wonderful pure breath of the movement of love. All of it unfolding now. Each heartbeat and every breath is a prayer of gratitude, of self-discovery, as the consciousness of God and the heart of love I am. Can you feel the excitement? What will you do? What will you be? How much will you discover? How deeply does this love affect you now? And how vast is love's presence? You are purged of the past effortlessly. For beloved ones, the past is just an idea. Every perception of time, and especially of limitation, is dissolved in the light made free in the love, that you might celebrate your awareness as the heart of God now. Can you feel this joy rising in you? It is everywhere present, and so grateful for living, for being alive to each new possibility to be this love, to express it and to cherish every reflection of the expansion of love. You can feel life washing through you now, bringing the birth limitless possibilities. And all of this love rushes through your heart to keep extending the possibilities available, the wondrous mystery of all that I am as it comes awake in you. With all that you love, you have barely begun. Often you see love through the eyes of the ego. But if you become still and open your heart as wide as possible, and then more, suddenly you become alive and transparent, and the movement of life flows through your being. Every breath of God I am, every touch of the Spirit, reveals so much to you. You are engaged in the communion of life that is endless and fully alive and awake. And oh, the relationship that we share is so deep, mysterious, powerful, and alive, that you are amazement itself. You touch with your heart each part of my presence, each element, each quark, each drop of energy, all of it holographic, living in you and communicating its discoveries. So your work, beloved ones, is to keep the conversation going, to recognize that all of life is speaking to you, that your heart understands it all, and that this moment is a miracle like nothing else, like nothing that you have ever discovered before. You are awake, you are looking, you are ready, and you are excited. Keep pushing the envelope, as you say. Finding new ways to experience communion with the hologram, new ways to invite the holographic presence of the heart of love, all that you are, that you might celebrate this moment's mystery and accept this moment's gifts. Hold out your hands and allow the abundance to leap into your consciousness, to gift your open mind. Feel the movement of love and let nothing hold you back. Beloved ones, the shell of the ego mind is cracked open. If you have built any barriers to keep yourself safe, to experience life in a way the ego understands, let me in and let me show you who you are. The players of life,
Alpha Hotel 62346.
And from this place you run into each moment as a celebration of God, in awe with what this moment brings, and in gratitude for the possibilities. Living in the communion of the heart is so exciting.
Markers 1060 on a black Chevy Silverado to Alley Roadside. Shows address at 196 Hillside Avenue in Timmins.
When you recognize that all that I am, every perspective is alive in you, that you are awake to that relationship, and this one, and this one, and this one, every shift in awareness, every new angle from which to see, every amazing place in your heart. You will remember that everywhere you look, from every possible...
Yeah, I spoke with the complainant, but I didn't have the correct the trailer's full. I'm just following it. Apparently it's still coming my way. So I'll be, when I do find him, I'll follow him until I start and pull him over there.
Deeply to your heart. There is beauty in this now moment that encompasses eternity. There is nothing that you need to understand. Seeking understanding keeps you wrapped up in the mind, but you, beloved ones, are a communion of the heart. Come and be an explorer of real love and see what you discover in this now moment. You will be genuinely amazed. As you open into love, love speaks as you. As you honor each experience of life as a holy communion, you will understand that this holographic existence shows you new universes being born. It keeps you alive to the upliftment and opens your heart into the holy communion that is already underway. Already alive within you right now, as you are born in this now moment as the whole of the heart of God in ecstasy. Beloved ones, dive into each new hologram of life that you encounter. You already know there are no accidents. Every movement of love that touches your heart is not only now part of your consciousness, but it is a gift for me. A gift to show you what is possible. A mirror of the symbols of your expression of love. A joyous awakening to the whole of God. A conscious participation in the awakening of love. As you live in reverence, you discover all the possibilities that are waiting for you now. And thus, each moment is filled with anticipation, and you become adept at hearing your heart and opening to more now, feeling the love I am alive in you. Discover the hologram that you are, and how everything is possible. And you can see with every perspective that each moment you are life awakening as your heart in celebration and enjoy. You are the miracle of love, and the circle of our gratitude is pure grace. The unfolding of all the gifts of love. Please, open your hearts, beloved ones, and accept them. Help them.
Every touch burns. Over 50? Ask a doctor about preventing shingles with Shingrix.
And this means reaction in concrete or physical form. Then the mission to which this book is dedicated has been fulfilled. Try to remember that the picture you